on the Standard, we have striking at the heart of graft. And this is, as we see, 1,000 procurement and account heads were sent home pending vetting to determine their stability in a move targeting an area of government where grand corruption thrives through tender awarding and payments. And let me start with you, Barack Muluka, on your thoughts of what seems to be a new and renewed war against graft. There seems to be a strategy that the government is employing and cracking the whip. Although there are some who say we've seen this before, we've seen arrests before, let's wait and see. Are you one of those who are wait and see, or do you feel that maybe with your gut feel, there is something that is actually happening?
First, I refuse to be categorized and be told, are you one of these, or you
or
one
of those,
the other? But I just want to look at the situation realistically. And I have the privilege of having been there, growing up in this country in the 80s, in the 70s. I know about what we used to call Carrefour, about the coffee smuggling. Things which are completely alien maybe to some of the audience, with a profound respect. If we talk about Carrefour, people don't understand about what happened at the coast of this country at some point, about the coffee smuggling in the 70s, about high-level corruption in the 80s, and how this has become a sing-song. We're talking about, for example, asking all procurement officers to go home. Nothing new about this. In 2003, the first thing that President Mwai Kibaki and his then Finance Minister Daud Mwiraria did was exactly what we are saying. When you talk about procurement, you are talking about a chain of activities. In fact, professionally, they talk about the supplies chain.
Supply chain.
And you must address that chain from the beginning to the very end. But beyond that, this is really dealing with what you would call petty corruption. The real big fish are there. Some of them are sitting right in the cabinet today. Nothing has been done to them and against them. Some of them were allowed by certain parties to contest for certain positions, and some of them have become governors. They have devolved what they were doing in cabinet to county government. And so, personally, I'm not yet satisfied.
All right, Professor, are you also, do you feel the same, that maybe you're not satisfied? But one might argue and say you've got to start somewhere. Even when you're fishing, you throw in the rod, and through the rod you capture something and pull it out. So maybe this could be throwing in of the rod to pull out the so-called big fish. Your thoughts?
The president is very wrong. He's the custodian of liberty and the constitution of this country. And he actually is ruling at the whims of we the people, as in the preamble of the Constitution. He can not therefore come and usurp power by making roadside declarations that affect those who have not been.
What do you mean by roadside declarations?
That's a roadside declaration. Because
for the procurement
yes,
officers to step
how
aside.
certain is he that these people have committed crime without proper investigation?
But they've not been fired. They've merely been asked to step aside.
That is, yes, and he's actually interfering with employment rights, labor rights. He can easily be taken to court as to why he's interfering with the people's constituted rights, because they have been employed, their terms of engagement, their contracts they signed, and therefore for one to be removed, there must be a crime, and that crime must be investigated in advance. Let him not do that, and I'm telling him openly that he is wrong.
So what would you rather he does? Because again, if we look at maybe from where Barack Muluka, and maybe this is to you, you mentioned that the big fish are still in cabinet. If he used the same authority and power to ask them to step aside, would you also be saying that possibly they is infringing on their rights?
You know, Mike, and you have used the imagery of fishing. First of all, we have read where Jesus Christ tells the people who are fishing to cast their nets on the right side of the boat. And you know what happens after that. They have to call their friends in the next boat to come and help them to
them,
drag
because
in.
of the great multitude
because
of
of
fish.
and the size of the fish as well. So you cannot go out doing what is called fish trolling, throwing the nets in the deep sea and allowing them to catch anything, including debris, flotilla, and all manner of stuff of that kind. We are talking about thieves who are known by face, who are known by name. We are talking about specific non-economic crimes that need to be addressed. And so you start where that crime has happened. You follow the chain. As you remember, we've just talked about the supply chain. You follow that chain. When you say that you are, for example, handing over to the deputies, how clean are they? What kind of clean hands and safe hands are they arriving the place of work with? So this is still gimmickry. We would like to see the president beginning with his cabinet. There are people who are seated there in his cabinet. I don't know how often it meets. In the past, it used to be every Thursday. If that is still the tradition, in 2 days' time, there will be those people sitting right next to him. And they go especially high. You saw the other day, somebody talked about having a meeting of farmers, maize farmers in Rift Valley, a member of parliament, Alfred Keter, and shortly after, other members of parliament from that area were telling him that he was disrespecting someone who is very highly placed in government, in the executive. We must address these things by addressing people who are known by face, by name. The people the president was telling us are right there in State House. He told us 3-4 years ago that even in State House where I am, these people are there. Even in Harambe Avenue, in Harambe House, they are there. Let him address his appointees.
Professor, you have a good legal background, and like you've said, maybe this is infringing on this particular worker's rights. What is it that the president would do? Because again, it is said, and I would like to hear from you, the buck stops with the president. What is it that he would do? It seems like he's doomed if it does, doomed if it doesn't.
First of all, the president should actually have a clean room in State House. So is the deputy. Lifestyle audit of those surrounding the president in his office, including his relatives like Moho.
But on what legal background would they be doing that?
Well,
because again, he'll be accused of witch hunting.
Well, first of all, we don't have law that deals with lifestyle audit. Parliament should sit down and create that law. But because the president is the custodian of liberties in this country, he should first and foremost start with State House, start with his relatives who are in State House, and find out what they do on a day-to-day basis, their lifestyle audits. He can commend that. And so is Ruto, with the likes of Kibet Farouk in his office. How have these people just become very rich? Where is Ruto getting all this money that is dishing out? Lifestyle of the deputy president is paramount. People like Duale and Malim, why would they now be coming up and saying that we are going to look into corruption? We shall leave no stone untouched. These are the very, very people that we need them to come out and declare their wealth in the open without any kind of frustration. Let them come out clean. Let us have their lifestyle audit. Let us follow and embrace the current Director of Public Prosecution, who called in the Director of CID. He called in Kenyatta and he said, hey, I've taken over this office. Can you come, my brother? Can you come in this office and help me clean my mess, first of all?
All right.
Yeah,
Barack, your thoughts on what the president needs to do so that you would feel that, yes, there is something that's being done?
First, they are his own appointees, people he has appointed, and who serve at his will, and who are sitting in cabinet. When you look at NYS, who are the names behind NYS? Are they in cabinet? Do they sit with the president? The answer is yes. What has he done about them? Nothing. Who are the people who are involved in the medical and health ministry scandals, a series of them? Who was involved with the procurement that was imposed upon county government in 2014? Are some of those people close to the president? Are they his relatives? Who was involved with the procurement of containers that have been lying at the coast for many years now and which have never reached the counties, the so-called containers for mobile clinics? Who are they? Are some of those people close to His Excellency the President? Is he doing anything about them? If he hasn't done that, he's joking.
Then there are questions being raised. All right. And it also brings us to the headline of the Daily Nation. We'll go back to the Standard and just look at a few stories. But on the Daily Nation, we have revealed Kenya's biggest theft plot. And this is to do with oil. And not too long ago, I think a few days ago, the president flagged off the first tankers bringing out oil. But it looks like underneath there could also be wealth of billions. Basically, Kenyans' money that is at risk. Professor Wajakoya, is this another corruption scandal just being unearthed?
The ball again goes to the deputy president and his appointees, including the minister for energy, Mr. Keter. Keter should come out and issue a very comprehensive statement today. If not, we need a statement from the deputy president's office on some of these appointees, starting from Keter, the deputy president, and those names that we see, Kiptum, Kipkirichirichiri, are these people qualified? Were they put there to appease or to be used as conduit of theft for the monies to be used in 2022 elections? What have they done? Can Parliament, can Kenyans, can the opposition, though we don't have opposition today, come out in the open and say, Mr. Keter, you're the minister responsible, issue a statement, step aside. I'm asking the president to ask Keter to step aside today. I'm asking the deputy president...
On what grounds?
Yeah, because he's the minister responsible. You saw what happened in the UK the other day. When a minister was late to answer questions, he came out in the House of Commons and he said, I am very late. I've let Her Majesty down. I've flouted the rules of royal prerogative, and therefore, due to the moral duty and obligation that I have to this honorable House, I'm stepping aside. As simple as that.
But Prof, you and I know that we have not reached that threshold of transparency, accountability, and just good manners, so to speak, to a point where if a minister in the UK can resign simply because they didn't come on time, we are a long way from that. I mean, in Kenya, we go down dying, literally saying, I will never resign over my dead body, even if 10 days later you resign.
Let me tell you this. If you go to church today, the Hallelujah churches that you see around, and you are one who is suspected or depicted to be the main donor of that church, that pastor will be very uncomfortable. The moment you reach and you're 1 minute late, he will say, even going to heaven, late is sin. Even coming to the church, late is sin. Sin is sin. It's high time today that these ministers who we are putting on notice, because it will not long before Kinoti nabs them, and I have a word from Kinoti, which I will say later on. It will not be long enough. And let me also tell you this. Those who have stolen, their days of reckoning is coming. It doesn't matter how much glamour you have, you steal today, you become a governor tomorrow, you do everything. When the day comes, all you have stolen will be returned back to the treasury.
Barack Muluka, your thoughts on the oil and another scandal possibly brewing?
You see, first, this is a very sensitive and very strategic sector that needs to be addressed transparently, because we know what resources have done all over the world, from Bougainvillea to Guinea to Angola, all over the world. We have had what are called resource-related conflicts, and which can become very bad because of absence of transparency and opening up the sector to cartels. Who are the people who are transporting this fuel, for example, this oil, who are transporting it from Turkana to the coast and to wherever? How were they sourced? Did we have open tendering and transparent processes? Who are the people who own these companies? What is the interest of those in the executive within those companies? So we are talking of something that runs extremely deep. The way to address these things is very simple. You have a person at the very top, the National Chief Executive Officer, who is committed to eradication of corruption, eradication of official theft and haste. And I remember that President Uhuru Kenyatta did speak in one of his addresses to the nation through Parliament of Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore as one of his role models. And Lee was very clear, it doesn't matter. You're my friend, yes. You're my brother, yes. You're my sister, yes. Be that as it may, if your hand has been in the till, you will go to the coolers. And that is what President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta must do.
Must do. All right, let's move on.